Hi everyone, so welcome to the next GradCracker webinar, and today we're joined by Arm. So you might not have heard of Arm before, but the majority of you will use their products actually on a daily basis, as 70% of the global population use some sort of Arm technology. So let's find out a little bit more about what this technology is and find out about Arm in general, and the people who are in the know are on this panel. So I'm looking forward to introducing you to Katie Daines, who's the Early Careers Manager at Arm. So Katie, first of all, could you give us an update and an overview of who Arm is?
Of course. So as you said, I normally start these off when you're in a room full of people by getting everyone to stand up that's heard of Arm. And you normally get about 50% of people. And then I say, everyone stand up. And I'm imagining you're standing that has a smartphone or some form of smart technology, and the whole room stands up. So we are behind a lot of the IP that you are using on a daily basis. 95% of smartphones are powered by some form of Arm IP. 70%, as you said, of the global population, think of the billions of people that exist in this world, are using some form of Arm technology. Yeah. So we kind of say we're the architects of tomorrow. We define that kind of pervasive computing that's shaping today's connected world. We ship around about 180 billion chips. So to give you an idea of the numbers that we are working with. We work in a slightly different model from a lot of companies, because I can't show you a product that we've built. We don't build anything from a product perspective, but if you were to take apart your mobile phone, your watch, smart televisions, everything's smart. I heard the other day there's a smart toaster.
Really?
So
how does that work?
What you do is you put your toaster on. You can do it through your phone. It pushes it down, and then it does a timer to tell you how long you've got left until your toast will pop out.
Wow.
Smart flossing. So it will remind you that you need to floss, and you put it on your wall, and then it will ping at you on your phone if you haven't been flossing enough. So there's some technology which is a bit questionable of whether we should be doing, but Arm is absolutely everywhere. Agriculture, automotive, as I said, anywhere that there is connectivity, Arm will be, and we go right from cloud to edge. So it's really, really, really exciting, and the projects that we work on are really amazing.
Yeah, and we're going to find out a bit more about those projects later on. Yeah. And Katie, from Arm's point of view, then you are a global company, as we're going to find out a little bit later on. So what countries are you actually based in worldwide?
So we have actually got companies, as you said, all over. Our main hub is in Cambridge, but we do also have offices in Manchester, Warwick, Sheffield, and Glasgow in the UK. We've got offices across Europe, so our sort of main hubs are Sofia, south of France, beautiful. Got to go to their summer party a couple of years ago. It was beautiful. Norway, Sweden, Germany, all across the US, and India as well. So we're in pretty much most countries that you can think of. We sort of say we've got 80 plus different offices. And across Arm, we have over nearly 7,500 people, and we have 85 plus nationalities.
Oh, wow.
So when we have World Cups on football, lots of different supporters, good fun.
Quite a lot of friction, I'm guessing. So from the graduates' point of view and students who are thinking of applying to Arm, can you apply internationally, or would you be based to start off with in Cambridge, or how does all that work?
No, so we offer full sponsorship for anybody, so you can apply for any one of our offices. So wherever you are based within the world, you can apply for one of those offices. You don't have to necessarily be in that country. What we do have also is that we do a lot of secondment opportunities. So we've had people that have moved around, not so easy now, but before the pandemic, people moving across different offices, different business groups. So you know, it's a place where you can make your own career.
Yeah.
Some people have a very linear career, which they go in one business group, one location, and work their way up. Other people decide to switch between technologies, and these guys are going to give you so much more information, being the engineers. You know, you can move across different technologies, you can move across different locations. So it's just a very exciting place to be, and we're working now up to 2035 in terms of technology. We're so passionate about progress. We're always looking at what's the next thing. 5G, for me, IoT are huge, but for a lot of our engineers and a lot of the people in our research teams, they're kind of going, yeah, we've been working on that for the last 8 years.
Yeah.
So it's just exciting. You're working on stuff that's never been created yet. So yeah, it's but in answer to your question, I have a thing of going around, you'll notice from my talking. But yes, you can apply for any one of our locations.
Fantastic, thanks Katie. Yeah, really looking forward to getting to know about all your different technologies in the future and what your plans are as ARM as a company. And Katie, just finally with you, could you just tell us a little bit about your role at ARM? You know, are you going to be in front? I know virtually we've just been talking about that, but just do students and graduates get to meet you as part of the application process?
So yes, we have a sort of a bigger team. It's not just me by myself. There's an early careers team. Yeah. And we actually split that out into different sections. So you've got the early careers, attraction marketing, campus piece. So that's, do you know what? We're going to be on campus. We're going to be doing a pub quiz with you. We may be doing something else. We might be doing a talk like this. And we're the kind of face of come and talk to us. And we always bring people that are working here because that's who you really want to hear from about what it's like to work here as a graduate. We then have an early careers team as part of your onboarding. So we've just had our huge global graduate conference where every single graduate from across the globe gets to come to a 3-day event. This year we have Mr. Motivator. So we were doing some exercise yesterday with him. We had Murder Mystery. We had talks from all the senior business holders. And then once you've come in, you've got a whole program as well. So we've got things like LinkedIn Learning that you can jump on and do yourself some training. So there's a massive team behind. The interview process or the process behind that, we call it candidate experience. And that's because with any interview, it's not a one-way thing. It's not just us interviewing to see if you're right for the job. It's also you finding out more about the company. Yeah. So we have a presentation where we talk you through ARM, we show videos of what the offices look like, and we'll have one of our members of staff there, so one of our graduates, or one of what we call our part-time undergraduates, which is our new intern position, and they will be there to come and do a Q&A session. So it is as much fully interactive and trying to give you as much as possible in this virtual world what it's like to work here.
Yeah, and I think ARM is such a big company, isn't it? And I think things like the Global Graduate Conference really makes it into a more family feel, because you do get to meet your peers and everything else. So I think, you know, don't think of ARM as this massive company, because you do work in, you know, smaller teams, smaller groups, and everybody does seem really accessible.
Yeah, the networking is absolutely fantastic. So the Global Graduate Conference, one of the main things is to teach people, to introduce you to not just the graduates, but more senior members of ARM, because it's, for a lot of people will come in thinking we're very corporate, that, you know, the CEO sits in an office away from everyone. Our CEO went out for drinks with our interns when we were in person a couple of years ago. So he did a talk to all the interns globally, and for anyone that was in Cambridge, one of them went, come for a drink with us, and he went for a drink with them. So there's pictures of him in a pub down around the corner. So that's how sort of networking flexible it is.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks very much, Katie. So for now, what we're going to do is just let you all know before we go on and meet the grads, is open to some opportunities still. So make sure after this webinar, you go to the hub, find out a little bit more and get your applications in. So let's meet the grads. Jack, I'm going to start with you. So could you introduce yourself to the panel, who you are, where did you go to university, and what did you study?
I can. Hello, everybody. So my name's Jack. I graduated from Loughborough University last year. I studied electronic and computer systems engineering, and that was before I started my job here in October.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jack. And Jeremiah, I just want to say thank you. So you're actually based in Texas, Austin, Texas, and it is 8 a.m. over there. And I could not do a webinar at 8 a.m. in the morning. So thank you so much. I know you've got your coffee and your hot water, so you're all ready and raring to go. So just a bit of background about you. Why are you in Texas? Where did you go to university? What did you study?
Hey guys, this is Jyotirmay. I work in Austin office, as Kala mentioned. I did my bachelor's from Manipal Institute of Technology in India. Came for my master's, graduated from University of Southern California, again computer science, both of them. And yeah, I had an internship with ARM over the summer of 2018, and I really like the city, really like the work culture. So finally decided to accept the full-time offer when was presented with one. Thanks.
How does university life differ between your bachelor's that you studied and your master's? Was it a very different in the different countries?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like it was definitely way more intense in masters, and like you get to meet more like diverse population, I would say, in Los Angeles. So that was quite an experience. Like there were a lot of Fulbright scholars. So they were on their J1 visa. They were basically there just from the perspective of like really learning. They have to go back to their country after they graduate. So that was quite some experience. Yeah, 2 years course, but was intense.
Yeah, I bet. Thank you very much. And Luca, we've got an international field today. So Luca, you're originally from Italy. I believe you studied in Italy, but now you're working at in Cambridge. So tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, that is correct. So hi everybody. So yeah, I'm originally from around Venice. So I studied my bachelor in Italy and my master partially in Italy and in Denmark.
Yeah.
And I studied mostly computer engineering. So after that, so last year of uni, I was working in France. Oddly enough, because I started working before graduating, and then when I graduated and I realized I wanted like a really nice company, I started applying around, and ARM was one of it. And so I applied in Cambridge because just by chance I like the UK, and so everything went well, and I'm here. So
Cambridge is a very beautiful city.
Yeah.
So what I was going to ask you, Luke, I had a question in mind. What help did ARM give you then relocating, if any help to the UK?
They give me massive support. So they basically have a package that depends on who you are. Like you tick some boxes, so if you have dependents, so this is just my case, of course. But they assisted me on paperwork through like a dedicated assistant. To which so instead of having many people around ARM, so this is for, I don't know, the work permit, this is for the residency or other. I have just one person, and which gave me a lot of information. And then on moving here, until I found accommodation, they gave me a paid accommodation for up to a month, even more if you don't find anything suitable, I guess. I mean, it's never been a problem. So yeah, that's a lot of assistance in that sense. So I never really felt scary about going abroad. Like I didn't have any doubt on like, yeah, I'm covered. ARM is covering. I don't know.
I can imagine it's quite intimidating, isn't it, coming to a different country and starting with another employer. So it's great that ARM really does give that help and assistance. So yeah, thank you very much, Luca, for that introduction. Now I'm going to go on to your roles at ARM. So what you actually do on a day-to-day basis. And I'm going to start with you again, Jack.
Hey. So I'm a graduate hardware applications engineer. So I'll break that down. Hardware, I work on the physical parts, applications, so like the versatility of different applications that can be engineered into it. And I do all this around CPU products. So my products are ARM Cortex ANR products. So I look after, basically these are CPU cores, and I just help the partners develop those products. And they come to me for support. And then part of my job will be to train a lot of these partners on how to use our product or IP, as Katie said. So that's it's a long story short of my job.
So your partners, would there be people external from ARM that you have to teach them about your product?
So a lot of companies will have customers. Our customers essentially are our partners because we don't just sort of sell to them, we have to work with them. The things we design are very complex, so we can't just sell it to a customer. We have to provide support to them as well. And this is why they're our partners as well, because we work together, which is quite cool.
Yeah. I suppose you've got to have quite a wide skill set then, that, you know, the presentation skills and everything else when you are speaking to the clients or your partners.
Yeah. You do have to have a diverse range of skills. There's one phrase I learned recently, which is called a T-shaped engineer. So you have to be able to sort of understand a broad enough range of topics, but then become a specialist as and when you need to. So that's a sort of direction or role structure that my role takes.
And how do you, sorry, Jack, I'm keeping asking you questions.
That's okay.
So how do you become, do you want to become a specialist in a certain area? And how do you become that specialist? Is it just training and learning the product?
I haven't decided. I'm still sort of discovering that journey myself. There's several roles or sort of directions you can go, and you can sort of go to like subject matter expert to a specialist on something, or you can go into sort of like people management and things like that. I'm still sort of discovering myself, but I'd say you probably need a wide set of skills, but you don't necessarily have to be a complete specialist in one area. That's what I would say is, more of a generalist than a specialist has helped in this role.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks very much, Jack. Right, so now we're going to go on to Jeremiah. So you are a software engineer at Arm. Tell us a little bit more about your role, what you do on a daily basis.
So I interned for like 13 months before I was offered the full-time position. Like did 6 months during my undergrad internship with architecture group, and then another 3.5 and 6 months of co-op whilst I was doing my master's at USC. Started in June 2019, and now I'm a software engineer. So my role requires me to have understanding of operating systems and computer architecture. It's like at the intersection of hardware and software. So there are times when I have to look at the RTL or the Verilog to understand what's going on. Do have to analyze the signals and what values they're taking. But my primary task is to code that in Java. I'm a software engineer. It does require like a lot of different knowledge of different domains. It's interesting. Like last year, I did get to work with parser for domain specific language, which we had. So it's interesting. Requires a little bit of everything, but I mostly code in Java.
Perfect, thank you. And so, Luca, you're also a software engineer. Is your role quite similar to that of Jotam?
Yeah, no.
My intent went a bit funny then. Stumbled. So is your role quite similar, or is it completely different?
Quite different. I mean, no. So he said is between software and hardware. I am purely software. And the cool thing is that I was clear during the interview process. But I have no idea about any hardware. I mean, I'm very much software. And they said, but that's what we are hiring for. And I really like that they have the right person for the right job. I don't know. They find someone suited. So you're never, thrown in an environment that you have no clue about. So my customers are other teams in ARM, and basically the teams that works in the core business of ARM basically produce this IP, and then they have to test that what they designed work. And my team is in charge of creating a product, a software that allows these other teams to test what they've done. So what I do is mainly programming in Python, which is I've grown to like a lot. I mean, I was skeptical in the beginning about Python, but I thought about doing things properly, because in the past I didn't have like a very well done preparation on Python. It was mainly like, okay, it works fine. Instead, doing things properly, what's the game changer. So that's why I like my job. I work with a lot of people that teach me a lot of things. So you're
learning new things every day. I probably should have asked this right at the beginning, because I think it was Jack who mentioned this at the start. IP, what is IP?
IP. So IP is intellectual property.
I thought it
Anytime
was.
you design something, you can get a trademark and no, what is it? Patent it. There we go.
Yeah. See, I thought it was that, but I thought, no, but I'm just going to ask just to make sure, just to be confident. Right, guys, so thanks very much for the overview of all your roles. Now I'm going to go back on to tell you a little bit more about GradCracker and ARM. So the ARM hub on GradCracker is jam-packed with information. We've got the rewards and benefits. Katie's smiling because me and Katie have been working really hard on it. Rewards and benefits page, there's video, there's employee profiles. But something I really wanted to focus on today is the actual culture of ARM and the fact that they've got 3 core beliefs, which are be your brilliant self, we, not I, passion and passion for progress. So I'm going to go around all the grads now and just ask from their point of view, their experiences of each of these individual core beliefs. So Jack, I'm going to start with you. So tell us a little bit more about be your brilliant self.
There we are. To be your brilliant self, it's quite great actually. It's a bit like what Luca just described to us here, where he said he hadn't really had much experience with hardware, and they said that's absolutely fine. That's not what we're looking for. It's kind of that they really are looking for you to be your absolute self. So when I came here, I was worried, oh, do my experiences fit? Do my experiences translate across properly? And I didn't have to worry about that at all because they know exactly who they're looking for. And when you come here, they want you to literally be yourself so that you can be as innovative as you can possibly be.
You to be your brilliant self, Jack, your brilliant self.
Your brilliant self.
Right, Jyotimaya, I'm going over to you now. So tell us about we, not I.
Yeah, we, not I is mostly about collaboration. So talking about my role, like it requires me to understand a lot of different ARM IPs and develop plugins for an application I'm working on. So it requires me to talk to a lot of people, understand where they're coming from, especially a lot of hardware engineers. So I don't have my degree in electronics and communication or EEE. So it's kind of overwhelming at times to understand that. But even if people cannot help you directly, they'll redirect you to the proper resource, proper document. It's really easy, mostly because of the people you interact with at ARM. I think it's mostly about the culture. But when you think of VNOT, I would say think of collaboration.
Yeah, I love that. Do you know, when if you don't know something, you've still got that network of people that you can go out to and, you know, get the key bit of information that you need. And Luca, finished off with you. So passion for progress. I think Katie answered this in her introduction, but tell us a little bit more about passion for progress.
Yeah, so I think it really is what it says. So I don't know, there's a quote by Simon Sinek. Some of you may have heard of it. He works with a lot of organizations, and he said any organization shouldn't be in the business for the money. It should be for the goal that they have, and then money is something that you need to achieve that. And I think this is very true at ARM, especially both on the business perspective and on the personal perspective. Every single individual, you shouldn't, of course, like you have to earn what you deserve, and that's rightful, but then ultimately what drives you needs to be the passion and the things that you want to do, and you want to achieve what you are set to. So in this case, passion for progress, it really is what it says, I think.
Yeah. And it's about, there's so much progress that you can make at ARM as well. You know, when Katie just mentioned about the toasters and everything else, you know, how technology's changed. I'm not going to get over that. How technology's changing over the years and everything else. There's a lot of progress that you can make as ARM as a company. So thanks very much, everybody, for the introductions. Jess, I think we're going to move on to your part now.
Yes, yeah. So Katie, I know you've touched upon it slightly when you kind of discussed about the process and the different groups and situations, but could you give the audience a bit more detail in, you know, what can they expect? So they go to GradCracker Hub and kind of start from there, and what can they expect next?
Yeah, of course. So we normally go live with our roles sort of the first week in September. So we recruit a full year ahead, which the business sometimes sort of go, oh yeah, you start recruiting in September for September, and we're going, no, we start recruiting in September. So I'm now thinking of 2022 hiring. Yeah. So we would put all of our roles live on the hub, and we've made the application process a lot easier. So as the guys have just explained there, they all work in different groups, even though they've got quite similar-ish backgrounds. we have 15 different business groups in ARM. Some of those will be hardware, some of those will be software, some are a mix between hardware and software. You then have your project managers, your data analysts, and your marketing analysts. And each of the teams requires software, for example. But there may be that one team requires somebody to do low-level programming, so your Pythons or your C, C++. Another one of our software teams might need more partner enablement. So do you know what? They're not so bothered that you don't have to be the best coding person. So we've made it a lot easier by having one position that you apply to as a graduate. So if you are interested in software engineering, we have a graduate software position that you apply to. Now, Jack's nodding here because these guys probably had to go through the old process where we had 15 different job descriptions and you went, don't know what partner enablement do, I don't know what DSG is. CPU, I've kind of heard of that. GPU, yeah, graphic-y sort of stuff, I think. Automotive and IoT, who are their clients? So we've made the process a lot easier. So if you're interested in software, you would apply for the software role, hardware, project management, and then technical writers. So if you like writing, a bit like me, we have a specific team that aren't as sort of engineering. They write out a lot of the specifications, but we look for people from English, psychology, those sort of backgrounds. So you'd go to GradCracker, apply for a position. And as I said, it's then our job to help you decide and discover which group you should be applying for. You would be considered by every single one of those business groups. They work together as a steering community, as we call them, or steering committee. So every single person still sees your CV. It's not that we're limiting you, it's just that actually for us, have you all in one place. For those managers, you've only got to apply for one position. From there, we have a Hire View, which is our video interviewing platform. Now, people get scared of video interviewing and I know it can be slightly off-putting, but we've tried to make it as interactive as possible, so there's always someone asking you the question. And what we do in that video interview is we have a number of different software questions. Where it's great is we say to you, if you don't know because you don't do low-level programming, don't answer it. That's just to help us decide, actually, this person wants to code, that's all they want to do. OSS could be perfect for you. So we get you to do the Hire View, and as I said, the coding questions in there are not do you know what, I can't code, so I haven't got the job, I'll just stop now. We get many people that complete it that go, oh, I'm so sorry, I was rubbish at it, I didn't answer that question. They're working here now, it's just for our indication. And then you would have what we call a candidate experience day. And once again, this is an interactive, and we call it a day. It's an interview and a presentation by us and an opportunity to meet some of the team. So that would be with a couple of different managers. But once again, you are being interviewed for every single business group in ARM. So instead of, Jack's probably going to smile now, instead of having to interview with 5 different people and spend 10 hours of your time and that person doesn't realize that you've interviewed with another team, actually you just do it once. You come in, do your interview, then we would then make a decision. You might get 5 offers from that. You might get us giving you a call and saying, all these 5 teams want to make you an offer. It's your decision. But we're trying to make it more that we're saying to you, this is where we think your skill set would really, really suit. So we've changed it quite a lot. There's some other stuff, my passion for progress. I would love to have like a BuzzFeed type quiz where you answer questions and then we have the team that we think you'd suit. So watch this space. That's my work that I'm trying to do at the moment.
That sounds exciting.
So cool.
So Katie, from your point of view, obviously specifically for ARM, you know, what you've obviously talked about lots of skills and lots of kind of requirements, but what would make a great candidate for you?
I'd say incorporating those 3 core beliefs. So for me, we had somebody that interviewed and got asked a question and went, "Do you know what, I'd go and Google it." And they went, "Okay, go and Google it." This person Googled and went, "Well, Google's telling me this, but do you know what, then I'd go to GitHub because I've got a community ask." They were like, "Go on then, go and ask them." And actually the initiative that that person was taking to say, "I don't know the answer," and I've been at ARM now for 3.5 years. I still find things out about ARM I had no idea about. And there is always somebody that you can reach out to. So a lot of it is using your own initiative, and being able to find the answer if you don't know it. So we always say, you're not going to know every single piece of coding, and we're not looking for senior engineers. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for people that can come in that are really passionate about the industry. We're coming up with stuff that's never been discovered before a lot of the time. So we're really looking for people that are really interested in this industry, that, you know, want to come in and they've got that potential. And that's the main thing, is that potential to learn.
Katie, for some students out there listening now that maybe aren't doing, computing kind of discipline at university, say they're studying, I don't know, aerospace or physics. I know there might be modules of kind of the tech side which they cover, but they're thinking, you know, I'm not sure if this is kind of an industry I want to go into. I'm really interested in coding and, you know, the world that I am. Could they still apply?
Of course they can. And we have what we call our ARM education team. So most universities will have free courses that you can go on to, which are ARM. And they're normally about 6-week courses. It's free, so it's not something you'd have to pay for. And they do ones on IoT. They do some sort of ARM specific machine learning, software, hardware. They've just released one that's on C++. So there are resources out there. Some of our people that have interviewed that we've just thought, wow, I picked up a BBC microbit or a Raspberry Pi at the age of 10, and I created this game for my younger brother. And for other companies, they might go, well, is that really relevant? For us, yeah, because that's showing that you're really, really passionate about this. You go on GitHub, you were part of your hackathon, you were part of a society at university. We're not looking for that person that's going to go, got the code done, leave me alone. We're not looking for that person. It is more about that potential, that constantly wanting to find out what an answer is. And that's across every single business area. I'd say we're all really inquisitive. We all go, could we do that better?
Yeah.
How do I find out that answer? No, I don't know it, but let me go and find out how.
I think sorry, go on, Jess.
The forefront of technology, aren't you? You know, so it's not like you're a business where you've got all the answers in front of you. You know, you need to be intuitive enough to think, right, I don't have the answers. I'm creating something brand new here, so I need to go and figure it out and find it out myself. It's interesting because we've just had a meeting actually.
I was going to say that.
Our web developers and Mark, our senior web developer, has just presented to us. He's just completed the app. It was launched yesterday, and we've just had like an hour meeting with the investors, and he's just been talking to us all about these new coding languages he's been learning, and we're all sat there and I'm like, I have no idea what he's talking about. And you know, because I think you always just think of the end product, don't you? You don't think of all the and everything at the end of it. And it was mind-blowing, really. God,
we have got some of the most impressive minds I've ever worked with. And what's really exciting about coming in here as either an intern or a part-time undergraduate, as we call them in the UK, or a graduate, you are surrounded by people that have got some of the best minds I've ever met. And everyone here is so passionate about what we do and us as a company. You know, we started off as a tiny little company in Cambridge. We're now the biggest tech company in the UK. We've got turnovers of some of the big companies that you'll all have heard of. Yeah. And we've done that in a really nice way, making ourselves sustainable, making sure that we do a lot of not-for-profit. We created the UN vision, which was all around the global goals. So using technology for good, created some really impressive pieces of not-for-profit. So there's just so much to get involved with. And yes, we're about our work, but there's a massive social element if you want to get involved in that ARM. You can become Team ARM, which is a really great initiative. They go to schools, teach coding. They've been over to Uganda. been over to some third world countries to teach children to code. You know, there's just so much more than you job here, and yeah, you're really supported.
Brilliant. Well, let's hear about some of these projects then. So, Jack, I'm going to come to you, and could you tell us a bit about? I'm jumping ahead of you, Carla. Sorry, it's just.
All right, love.
Jack, can you tell me a bit about the project that you've been involved in so far, and maybe one of your favourite ones you've been involved in so far?
Yeah, so part of my job is I do a bit of like proactive work. They set us a bit of time in our week that we can sort of decide for ourselves if we're not too busy, sort of work on in the background. So what I've been doing is I've written some code to simulate certain performance events of a Cortex A55 core. What that really means is there's a CPU inside the core. There are certain events that you can record or measure to measure how well it's performing. So what I've done is I've written a bit of code in there that basically runs the CPU, triggers those events, and then counts how many occurrences of those events that happen in real time. And then what it does is it will then publish those results up into my lovely little computer window, and it will tell me exactly what happened. So that's probably one of my favorite bits of project work that I've been doing so far, purely because of the learning aspect. It's making me learn every single different aspect of this design, so that afterwards at the end of it I can actually look at a CPU and be like, right, I know what's going on with it now.
Again, it's so weird because it's the same conversation we've just had before this. My colleague Mark has just said that was one of his favourite projects was rebuilding the app from scratch. So we've just rebuilt it in Ionic 5, and he was telling us all about these crazy characters in there, and that's where his favourite thing was. It was like looking back, fully understand how that works. If you asked me 6 months ago, I wouldn't have a clue. Now I can tell you everything about it, and that must be
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But no, it's definitely.
Yeah, we were talking earlier, Jack, about the hardware side of things, and I'm trying to get some gossip really in terms of what are the new things that are coming up? What are the things, for example, you see phones nowadays getting thinner and thinner, and like you've said, crazy things going into toasters. What's kind of the future for your kind of side?
For me personally, like me directly, I don't really have any persuasion on what changes get made, because I'm on the support end of the life cycle, as it were. It's more about those partners. Those are the people who come up with those particular designs, and then it's for me to support them in that respect. So in regards to what I think future designs are, off the top of my head, I probably will say desktop computing. That's where I think it would be. I think desktop computing will be a new wave that we will experience.
Because I would say that now we're kind of desktop.
So I feel like there might be a presence perhaps where CPU performance is going to increase, where we no longer might see them in phones. Perhaps we may see them in desktop computers too. That would be my take.
Interesting. That's good to mention, everyone that's listening, when you talk like that.
That's it.
Jyoti, Mike, can we come to you, and any projects that you've been working on that you want to tell us about?
So like I work on this application whose job is to basically allow you to understand if the particular ARM IP is working correctly or not. So you do something called as simulations, and simulations basically means that you simulate the actual working of the processor or the mesh network, where different processors are talking to each other, to the memory. So they talk in different languages. We call those bus protocols. So one project recently I worked on, and I'm really happy about, had to work with like a bus protocol which was kind of complex, and it required like 2 to 3 months of initial investigation. Initial investigation is basically just going through the documents, deciding that how you intend to, whether the project is feasible, how you intend to go on about it. And then the next phase comes in when you try and decide what classes you want to work with, how you want to design your code, what would be the hierarchy of your classes, all that stuff. And after that, you could move on to actually writing your code. So like the whole thing coming to fruition could take like 9 to 10 months. But the first 3 months obviously are a bit painful. Like you have to just power through it. You have to like have faith in yourself that when it works, it would be amazing. And I'm really glad that the internal and external partners who have used my work, they were happy about it. So that would be the project I really loved recently.
You. So would that working as part of a team then? Was there multiple people working on that particular project, or is it you just solely deciding and making those decisions and presenting it back?
Yeah, I mean, like, I have a manager who worked on the main portion of the application, and I do talk to him regularly. But like the coding and everything, I had to do it, and then we have like frequent code reviews, which are really important. I would say that as new starter in the tech industry, take your code reviews like really seriously, learn from them. Don't take things to your heart. It's your code, but it has to improve for the betterment of everyone. So yeah.
You've just done this great piece of work, you present it and then someone says, oh, can you just change that, or can you change that? You're like, oh.
That's what you do to Mark all the time, Jess. Yeah, I don't like that.
And Luca, coming to you, what's your favorite project you've worked on so far?
Yeah, so I work on one project, let's say one big project, which is with this app that we maintain. But then what I really like about my job is that we have allocated time, I would say roughly 10-20% of our time only to innovation projects. So it means that it's dedicated inside our team to improve the way we work. And so that really is a broader term of software engineer. That's what I like a lot. And one that I worked on recently is about containerization of our workflow, which means, so this is really technical, but basically in the past 5 to 10 years, something called Docker came around and basically gets your workflow, so how you integrate your code, how you test your code, and so on and so forth, much slicker. And there's a really technical reason why. But the fact that I had no clue, it's one of those things that you heard of, and then they threw me in and said, yeah, go ahead, study around and try to see how you can implement it, and then ask us things. That really worked out well, and I learned a lot, and I felt a real software engineer for the first time, I would say. So yeah, that was really great. Yeah, so if anyone wants to read, it's Docker, Docker. And yeah, it's really, really something that it's like bread and butter but you don't know until you kind of play with it. So that was it.
This is what I love about technology, though. You do this is what, and I keep going back to Mark, who's a web developer. You never know it all, do you? Because technology is changing all the time. So it's always like, an advancement on technology. You mentioned GitHub before. That's something that we also use at GradCracker. And it is fascinating. And I think, Jotamay, I think you mentioned it towards your project. It's when Mark was rebuilding the app, he had to learn new languages and everything else. And when it came to the end of it, to releasing it like he did yesterday, you can't believe how much he's learned in the last, 3-4 months. And Mark's been our web developer now for 20 years. It's just celebrated the anniversary. So that's the thing that I love about technology. It's always changing. It's always advancing. So yeah, it's a really exciting industry to be in. Jess, I'm going to go to learning and development. Does that upset you? No, I'm just watching her. So I'm going to go to, like I just mentioned, learning and development, and more so a piece of training that you've enjoyed the most. Obviously, you've all mentioned about experiencing new things, studying new languages and everything else. But what key part of your development, if you thought, oh, I'm going to remember that, it could be because of the way it was taught, or what you actually learned, if I can get my words out. So Jack, I'm going to start with you again.
Sure. I'm going to throw a spanner in the works right at the beginning. So I can't say one piece of training that I think is my favorite. I would say generally the training here is fantastic because, I guess it is the industry standard. So I'm learning the content from the source. So every bit of content that comes out, whether it's like ARM assembly language or the different products, I'm learning about those products from the place it was designed, if that makes sense. So I'm learning it from no better place. And you have sort of like free, unlimited access to all of these resources. Where at university, for example, sometimes I would struggle to find certain websites just to find certain bits of content. Whereas here, they're like, here's all the content. It's amazing. So I feel like the quality of the content here is amazing. So, and then also part of my job is to do training. I have to be trained and then learn how to train and do that training. So I can't give one piece, but I would say generally like the training here is like, it's fantastic. It's some of the best I've ever seen.
What is the best training that you think you've given?
Oh, I think my colleagues would argue. Yeah, I think my colleagues would definitely argue here. I would probably say it was probably one training course to do with the specific CPU core that I was looking after at the time. That would be my best training delivery, because that was my area of expertise, as it were.
And how did you train that? Was it PowerPoint? Was it in person?
So traditionally, the company, I'm not sure yet because I haven't done it myself, but apparently traditionally before the pandemic, you travel to customer sites around the world and you actually visit them and you provide like a presentation, a PowerPoint, maybe some sort of preliminary work for them to complete, as well as perhaps like follow-up questions and answers as well. So it's usually done in person and via a presentation, but currently, obviously we're all working remotely. We're doing our trainer sessions all via Zoom, as we are doing now. And we'd literally just have one presentation slide up on the top and it would be somebody teaching us some new content.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Jack. So Jeremiah, on to you now. What is your best training that you've received so far?
As Jack said, I can't pinpoint like one particular training. Like since for my work, I need to read a lot of documents, we call them TRM, technical reference manuals. So it's just like pages and pages of like information about the ARM IP. And apart from that, like I did learn a lot from my teammates, like good coding practices. They keep on reminding you that where you could improve, make the code better. So like when you look back at your code, like 3 months later, you'll be like, okay, I don't know why I wrote that, but it could have definitely been better. Apart from that, we have like different training modules, even in my department, like DSG. So there would be a talk from some research ARM fellow regarding how they reach the point they reach in their career over the course of 20-25 years. There would be, we had recently had a DNI workshop, which was really good. So like we keep on having these different technical and non-technical conferences, workshops, internal to department or like just for the entire ARM. So can't really pinpoint one training, but it's all been good. A lot of self-learning as well.
Yeah. What did you learn on the DNI workshop? What came out of that?
We had like different discussions about why people feel the way they feel. And it was more about like providing an environment where people are not afraid to really voice their opinion. Like they don't feel that they would be excluded just because they said something. So it was more about understanding each other, where they're coming from, and like also like different cultural biases and like unconscious bias basically, and how more and more diverse employees could be part of ARM workforce. Like how can we make it more inclusive so nobody feels left out? Well, it's very clear at ARM that like diversity is good. So.
Yeah. And just one last question, more from the technical point of view now. So you mentioned about the coding and the best practice of coding. So from a graduate looking in, what top coding tip would you give, if you can give a top coding tip?
Okay, yeah. Like make your functions the way, I mean, the function should do one thing at a time and it should do it good. Make your identifier names easy to understand, as in like, if the variable should do what its name suggests, and like I would say design your I mean, I don't want to go way too much into it, but like yeah, like don't tie your code way too much, as in like it's hard for the other coders to maintain it. Like make your as I said earlier, function names descriptive, code easy to understand. Maintainability is a big thing. People just focus on getting things working when you're in the grad school, but when you enter the workforce, you realize that you appreciate how important it is to write clean code. There's this book called Clean Code. If someone wants to read it, it's brilliant.
Oh, cool. So basically what you're saying is that the code that you write needs to be able to be read by Jack and Luca.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, if they're having a hard time, it's probably my mistake that I didn't write it good enough. Obviously, a certain information and understanding of the context is important.
Yeah.
But I mean, it should be maintainable. That's very important.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. And Jack and Luca, go on, Luca.
On this, if I might chime in, like there's always a saying, like write the code as if someone has no clue about it, and they have to be able to understand it from scratches like that. And that's because most likely that's you in the future, not someone else. So it all comes back to you, and you learn it the hard way. So yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. So what's your I'm just thinking of our web developers, Jess, so we've got two, Mark and Max, and they have to be able to read each other's code and what they're both working on. So that has actually been mentioned at GradCracker before. So Luca, what is your favorite piece of training that you have received?
So if I have to say one, I would say at the AWS training, which is like an industry standard that it's really hip right now. Yeah. But as Jyotirmaya said, I think the most important bit that everybody should look for in a company, in a work environment, is to be able to work with someone that you can just learn by osmosis, just by staying aside them. You just see what they do and learn by just being in the environment. That's the most important bit, and that happens every day. So yeah. Like the company can provide you the best training possible, but then if you work alone all the time, there's nobody just giving you ideas that you can share thoughts with, you're not gonna improve much, to be honest.
So how are you finding it then, working in a remote environment, Luca? So how are you finding, speaking to your colleagues, picking up bits and pieces from them as part of your training? Has it been quite restrictive?
No, I mean, it's different for sure. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I think for our job is once you adapt is 80-90% as effective. I don't know. You don't have the human interact, but if you have to share code, it's easier to share the screen than just to be seated together on the same screen. So it really works well for my specific job. So that's handy.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm going to go on to now key benefits, because I know ARM's got some absolutely amazing key benefits, which are all listed on the hub on GradCracker as well. So Jack, I'm going to go back to you in my little order. So a key benefit that you think ARM offers.
Yeah, the others will hate me for picking this one, but I'm going to choose the FlexBot. It's the easiest one. So basically, part of our compensation package is ARM gives you an allocation of a certain amount of money per year that you can sort of claim for. But there's key stipulations on how you can use it, which is really good. So it's well-being, whether it's financial well-being, mental well-being, as long as you can sort of qualify a good enough reason as to why you would need this, you can claim on it if you want to do further education. So maybe in a few years I might do a master's degree. So I would probably use my FlexBot towards it, towards the fees, which is quite nice to know. So it's quite reassuring. It's like a nice safety net. I actually got these as part of it to help my productivity with working. So yeah, it's really good.
What's special about those, Jack? Is it?
I claimed these on my FlexBot so that I could listen to music and take these calls. So I bought these and I claimed it via my FlexBot.
So you're listening to me and Shania Twain all at once?
All at once, all at the same time. That's it.
Everybody likes it. I was trying to think of a pop star who
That's it.
Shania Twain.
Just my cup of tea, that is. This is what I listen to on the weekend.
That don't impress me much, Jack.
That's brilliant.
That was a quick one. Jyotirmaya, on to you. God, I'm quite chuffed with my speed.
We do have other benefits apart from that, we have partnership rewards, we have the starter bonus thing, so that's good. The whole package makes it really competitive for that particular region. For the US region, I live in Texas, we don't have state tax, so my salary would be different from someone living in, let's say, in the UK or in the India region. It just comes down to that. But the overall package, I would say, is really competitive, and you get to work with brilliant people.
Yeah, I like that. That's nice indeed. Luca?
Yeah, so since they took the money part, I would say the perk of the office is really, really huge in Cambridge. You get the office is brand new and shiny and everything. That's really great. Like it makes you want to work, to be honest. But it's like you have your canteen and so on, but also you have the well-being stuff. So, for example, you have a gym that I don't use much, but you have a gym. But for example, there's the well-being stuff. So I talk with a nutritionist and I got my specific diet and we sit down to chat, and because I play football, so it was like an ad hoc kind of thing. And of course it's everything part of, being a normal employee. And it's so convenient. Like besides not paying for it, is also like it's very convenient. It's like email. So can you come out the office just a second and we talk? Yeah. So it's really, really, it makes your life easier. That's really a good perk to me, at least.
Yeah. And when you're looking at going back in the office, then I don't know, Luca, Katie, who can answer this, but is it looking at any time soon?
So we're having a look at a new hybrid model of ways of working. So there's a real emphasis. So we've just joined something called RE100, which is a business initiative to drive down carbon footprint. And so as part of that, we are looking at how we could create a bit more of a hybrid. So working from home becoming the norm, as well as some office work, but going into the office for meetings rather than being there to work unless you have to. We've got a booking system. So at the moment, if you really needed to go into the office, we're aware that some people have home situations which are not the greatest for work. You can book to go in and it's fully COVID compliant. We're looking at this hybrid model from sort of September time. The people though that will be at the top of the list are people that have never been in our offices.
Yeah.
For me, I've been there, so I'm at the bottom of the list. We've just had a brand new gym put in that's huge, which I've never got to go in. So I'm hopefully get in there. But probably from September. But once again, locationally, we've all read what's going on in India at the moment. We've just started an initiative where you can donate part of your bonus to buy oxygen for the Indian hospitals, and ARM will match your donation. So but we all know what's going on there at the moment, so that we can't say when that office is going to be opening. So they'll all be slightly different times.
Right, okay. And Jotamai, what's it looking like for you in Texas?
Like I think it's looking up, definitely. I think I haven't looked at the exact timeline, but I think somewhere around August, I think the hybrid model. We are moving into phase 2 pretty soon in May. And I think like we'll have hybrid model as Katie mentioned.
Perfect, thank you very much. Now I want to move on to your top facts about ARM. I'm looking forward to these. These are going to be some blinders. So I'm going to start with Katie this time. So could you give us the top tip that you wish to share about ARM?
I would say that we've all read the news about Mars, and we had a small part in the Mars helicopter. So the visual navigation had an ARM chip in it. The flight control function had our ARM Cortex R5F, and some of the sensors and fault management had our ARM Cortex M1. So when you saw the helicopter with NASA going around, we had ARM technology in that.
Amazing.
Very cool. I knew nothing about it until they told us internally.
Cool.
No idea. So that was probably my coolest.
Oh wow. Jack, you've got some work to do here.
You're all right to come back to me at the end so I can.
It's gonna be Googling now behind the scenes.
No, it will, yeah.
I'm trying to look at my description of 100 different facts. I've got to look through it and pick the best one, you see.
Luca, what's your top tip?
Yeah, no, it's really difficult to top that, to be honest. No, so I mean, being a foreigner, one thing that I really learned later was that ARM doesn't stand for ARM. It's just an acronym. So that changed my perspective. I really thought for years that ARM meant ARM. And everybody, when I say I work for ARM, it's like, ARM, like, ARM. And it's like, and they literally do like this. And it's like, it's an acronym and we stand for Advanced Test Machine. So anyway, but yeah, so that's my fact. I think everybody, it's like a social cause. Everybody should know.
Yeah.
Sorry, Lucia, say that again. What does it stand for? I missed that.
Advanced Risk Machine.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know.
It's an acronym in itself because risk is another one.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's an acronym inside another acronym.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Gosh.
So RISC is the type of CPU we originally designed.
Right.
So these are why I don't ask these questions because they're getting all technical now and I just go quiet. Let's go back to Shine. Jesse Maya, what's your key fact?
Yeah, like just talking about that, like I think in until 1998 it was like an acronym, and then we moved to ARM Holdings, if I'm not wrong, and now it's like you just use it in a sentence like capital ARM, unless and until the whole sentence is capitalized. So like we moved on to like just using ARM. It's
With
no
no
longer
capital.
stands, but like from historical perspectives, it's important, I guess.
Yeah.
The key fact I would. Sorry, what?
I said, yeah, a bit of history. I like a bit of history.
Yeah. Like the Fugaku supercomputer is based on ARC64, the 64-bit ARM architecture. It was made with, I think, Fujitsu, yeah. It's called Fugaku. So a few years back, if someone would have told you that the fastest supercomputer would be running on ARM technology,
They'd have
it
laughed.
might have been a bit hard to fathom for people,
Yeah.
but we reached there, so that's nice.
Oh, fab. Jack, have you got one?
Yeah, I've remembered it. It's like the concept that the most popular GPU in the world, I guess, would be a fanless GPU because it's inside all of our phones. That would be mine.
And that's an ARM product.
A GPU, sorry, a graphics processing unit. Every computer kind of needs one to show you all the visuals, and they usually require fans to be cooled because they produce a lot of heat. Except if you have a mobile phone, they exist with no fans inside it. So we make the fanless GPUs.
Cool.
Jack, I don't even know how to turn my iPhone on and off. I have to yes to say, Jess, how do I turn it on and off? And she's like, do you know that kick? Do you know those two buttons? And I press it down. That's how bad I am with technology.
That's it. Just start screaming Siri.
Yeah, it was Siri. Yeah, I do have some idea. Right, so thank you everybody for joining us today. It's been an absolute blast, really, really informative session. So thanks, guys, and thank you, Katie, as well. You know, you've been amazing going through about the all the application process, hints and tips, and everything in between. So don't forget to the audience, the ARM webinar will be live on the GradCracker Hub tomorrow, and then we'll break it up into bite-sized chunks, which should be live midweek. Obviously, it's bank holiday on Monday, so probably be Wednesday, Thursday of next week, which is exciting. Jess and I will be joined by Edwards next week. So Edwards is a global leader of vacuum. Their products, similar to ARM, are in everything that you can possibly imagine. So tune in next week to find out more, and I will see you then. Take care, guys. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Listening to us.
Bye-bye.
Bye.